Good evening. My name is Kelby Smith. Welcome to HISadvocates.tv. I am the executive director for HISadvocates. I think we are pretty much the premier guiding arm to freedom in this nation, true freedom, and helping people understand what really a republic is, which is one of those major questions I try to answer. What is the republic? Tonight, we're going to be talking about an important topic that a lot of people have been asking me for and giving me heck about, and I always teach on it, so I don't know why, but I want to kind of deal with the element of title. Do you really have a title on your life? Is there a title equivalent to your life? And I want to ensure you there absolutely is. And so this subject matter that we're going to be dealing on, I'm going to be basically talking about things to consider for yourself in law, things to consider for yourself from an element of what do you need to be discovering for yourself? What do you need to be looking into? How do you need to posture yourself within respect to what's known as your birth certificate, your registered organization? So let's just start with the facts and the law. Uniform Commercial Code 9. This is the boring stuff. I get it. It speaks about a registered organization. That registered organization is a Cescute V trust. Your birth certificate literally is chattel paper. Your birth certificate is literally monetized. Your birth certificate is the equivalent of your mom handing the title of your life over to a state. And we're going to explain that process a little bit. And we're going to explain the ramifications, and we're going to explain remedy. So the process starts when your mom went to a hospital. And this is where the conspiracy really gets let out. And this is where the misunderstandings of who we are and how it is a corporation known as the United States could actually have jurisdiction over you as an employee to the company known as the United States. And this is nothing more than you having a job that you've been approved for, you getting an employment ID that you've received called your Social Security, and you have statutes, codes, and ordinances that will be enforced by the policy enforcement officers known as police. And people don't realize that. See, the whole structure of the United States was set up to uphold the God-given unalienable rights of the people. Was it? I don't think so. I say that because that's what they told us. That's what the United States was purposed for. It was to be a seat of government, if you will, allocated that within the District of Columbia and with exclusive jurisdiction inside the District of Columbia. And this is where I really want you guys, as my friends, as followers, as his advocates, to get down to the nitty-gritty with understanding who you are and understanding the name of your country and understanding what you should be calling yourself. Because there's terms that are being used out there by people that we are not. One is, you're not a United States citizen. I know you want to think you are. I know you believe you are, but you're not. You're not an American national. That's not the original term on the Declaration of Independence. You're not a state national. You're not any of these fostered terms that are pulling things out of U.S. code, 8 U.S.C. 1101-821, 8 U.S.C. 1101-822, and other code, and then mixing it with the true state of who you are, which is a state of being. So if you look in Black's Law, and I just ordered I got my 11th edition today. I'm pretty happy about that. And in Black's Law, it says something, well, it says a whole lot of things, but pertaining to the word state, it says it's a body of people, lowercase, it's a body of people. And so you start to wrap your mind around what we were as a nation collectively getting together as what originally as Americans, we were a body of people. See, Ben Franklin was not a United States citizen. He was a stout Virginianite or New Hampshireite, whatever. He was buried in New Hampshire. Or Boston. Yeah, well, I don't know what he was. He was a state citizen, that's for sure. Ben Franklin, George Washington, Thomas Penn, all those guys were not United States citizens. And that's kind of like one of those elevator 15-second things that I go to all the time with people. I'm like, what do you do? Well, I help people become state citizens. I help people become free under God, which is what we were as Americans. See, Ben Franklin was never a United States citizen. And they go, oh my gosh, you're one of those sovereign citizens. I go, no, I'm not a federal government's sovereign citizen, domestic terrorist. That's not me. I'm actually just Joe Sixpack, understanding trust law maybe a little better than you, understanding that birth certificate is really the U.S. citizen, and understanding it's an artificial person in law. And that's what you're alleging yourself to and wanting to hold the office of. And I know it's overwhelming to think all of the elements of what it takes to transition from being free to a U.S. citizen, and also to transition from being a U.S. citizen to being free under God as a State of the Union citizen. And people think that the element of having state citizenship is synonymous with being on a domestic terrorist watch list. And I just want to assure people, you already are. I'm telling you right now, if you're a veteran, if you're retired law enforcement, if you're a conservative Christian, if you love Donald Trump, you are on a domestic terrorist watch list. And I'm going to say this with just an emphatic, emotional, explanation to you guys. They do not like freedom. They do not want you to be free. See, this global agenda that they're trying to flush this nation down and into is coming here to do whatever they can to make sure that people like you and me can never be free. And I don't say that meaninglessly. I don't say that frivolously. I say that very staunchly. It's true. There is a biblical world order that is coming to light. And they are doing what they can to take away the freedoms one step at a time of the people. Before you guys came on, I was talking to, I think, the one follower I had on IG. We started broadcasting through IG a few weeks ago, and we don't have a big IG account, but thank you for watching, IG followers. And I was explaining about Amos, the guy that's a Amish farmer who grows organic beef from baby calves all the way to mature adults and sells them to a private community. And I looked at, because I was on tour all over the country, and I've met many of these Mennonites and Amish people, lovely, lovely people who went through really the same thing that we went through as a nation, as just a little bit later in life, because they were smarter. And what do I mean by that is they, unfortunately, with I guarantee the Amish community is probably sick to death of themselves for maybe giving their children cell phones or right to go and access vehicles and different things like that. But I'm telling you right now, back 10, 12 years ago, or 15, 20 years ago, whenever, this is how they do it. The federal government encroaches upon your freedom a little bit at a time. It's always baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. And they went to the Amish community and they said, hey, you need to get lights for your buggy. And so the Amish community, all right, I'll get some lights for my buggy. And because you have lights for your buggy, we need you to have turn signals. Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll get turn signals. And because you have turn signals and lights, you're now a motor vehicle. I need you to get it licensed. You need my horse-drawn carriage licensed as a motor vehicle? Yes, I do. There's no law behind that. There's nothing to say. It's all done voluntarily and by force. Meaning, it's like, I use this analogy back in the day when they were trying to load 8,000 Jews on the trains with 4 guys with rifles. Seems like it would be not voluntarily, but it is, because it's 4 against 8,000. Well, it's the same principles today where law enforcement is saying you've got to do this, but there's nothing in the law that supports it. Let me give you an example. I was told I had to get my kids inoculated at a private school, and they said, and there's degrees of not having to do the service, and by getting a doctor to fill out, a waiver that your kid would be harmed due to the inoculation or whatever. And so I went to a chiropractor and got him to fill out a form, and they refused it because they said a chiropractor is not allowed to do it. So I went to the actual law, the public law in California, and I determined a chiropractor. It doesn't say anything about a chiropractor. It says a doctor. And so a chiropractor is a doctor. As a matter of fact, the naturopath doctor is a doctor. And you can have anybody inside. I copied the law. I went back to him. I said, your form is misrepresenting the truth about the law. And they said, that's a state form. I'm like, oh. The point is law enforcement will skew the truth, or the state will skew the truth on applications as to what the truth is on what your rights are. And it doesn't matter what public law says if you're a state citizen, because Congress currently in Washington, D.C. is only making law for the U.S. corporation. It's not making law for the state citizens. The state citizen law goes way back. And our law is actually a little bit more strict. It's republic. And you can really do damage to yourself by stepping on other people and their rights as they are God-given and unalienable. But I'm not going to deal with that. What I want to talk to you really mainly about is how you're losing those rights through the BC, and why the BC becomes chattel paper, becomes monetized, securitized on 32-pound bonded watermark banknote paper, and you become the life equivalent, the surety to the collateral to that debt instrument, because it is a debt instrument. See, the United States is in bankruptcy, HJR 192, way back in the 30s. The people were then given an opportunity because they were bled dry for 4 years or longer. But through a crashed economy, through long milk lines, food lines, and where there really was not a moving system of money, and they were all given jobs and a new deal. That's literally what they called it, HJR 192, and given jobs and employment ID numbers, Social Security Administration of 1935. That's where you were employed in the United States. And they've worked this divisive, this creepy, underhanded system and structure over the period of the last 150 years, to the point where now your life equivalent, the live born record, is handed to the state unknowingly by the mom, and the state then takes it and puts it into a 32-pound watermark banknote paper, publishes it, puts a QSIP number, but publishes it into the public to see if anybody wants to come and make a claim. Nobody does. The state becomes the father equivalent, and that captured chattel, which birth certificate means abandoned certificate, literally. The mom, and let me explain the live born record. So you go into a hospital and they're telling you you have to fill this form out. And I'll assure you, if you pay them, you don't have to fill anything out. You make terms on your terms. And I know people maybe don't like that, don't understand that, don't agree with that. I don't care. I'm paying you. If I don't want the service, I can either walk and go get a midwife and do this on my own, or you can agree to the terms. Nevertheless, they don't ask you to fill out a birth certificate generally in advance, or an application for a birth certificate generally in advance. You fill out some admission forms and you go in and you have your baby, and then they want you to name your baby and they get you all excited and you don't realize what you're signing. This is literally what it is. When you look at a birth certificate, or a live born record, you look at the top of the live born record, what you're going to see is mom and dad, or mother and father. And then you look down into the signature area, and this is just a fact. You're going to see two words in front of the signature area. One is signature, 3 words, signature. One is informant, and one is parent. So why did we go from the top to mother and father to them requesting the mom to sign signature? Signature in law means one who can attest to the validity of an instrument. What is an instrument? What is about to be published into the public? What's about to become a security? So can she attest to the validity of this instrument? Does she understand the terms of the words? It used to be autograph. It used to be mark. Now a signature is a defined term that she's attesting to the validity of that instrument. Does she know what an instrument is? Does she know what she's doing on that instrument? Does she know that she's dealing with title? Does she know she's dealing with the equivalent of a title? So I'm going to stop. I'll come back to parent. I'll come back to informant. When you go and buy a truck or a car for cash, did you know that you can tell them you're taking it out of state and get the MSO, the manufacturer statement of origin, the original title from Ford or Dodge or Chevy, straight from the manufacturer? See, what happens is you don't know. The dealer tricks you into registering it into the state. The title gets transferred to the state. The state issues a certificate of title. It's not title. It's a certificate of title. And they've taken the MSO and they then monetize the actual title that is truly yours, and you got tricked into a certificate of title. See, I bought a vehicle, or excuse me, I'm not going to say what, and I paid cash, and I was able to get the MSO, and I was able to go and pick up the bike, and I brought it out of state, because when it's in state, it's in corporate territory. And people don't understand this. Don't care. I'll explain it some other time. I'm bringing it from the public and pulling it into the private with that MSO in my hand. The state, corporate state, only has jurisdiction in federal territory. So I'm in law bringing it out of state. I'm not lying. I'm not tricking. I'm not deceiving. The point I'm trying to make is I hold the original title to that car, truck, or motorcycle. Now, I can drive it anywhere I want on a public highway. I can go anywhere I want. I can insure it, and I can have a license for it or not have a license for it, because license is a commercial term. Not going to get, that's another day, another show. Do I want to deal with law enforcement as they maybe pull me over for speeding and have to go through the no license? No. So I hold a license in my wallet, appropriately uncontracted. I've talked to you guys about this millions of times in the past. They don't know what to do with it, because all of these contracts are adhesion trust. We control the element of whether we want to be a trustee or beneficial interest. I know, rough to hear, hard to understand. It's okay. It's only through training that we get through this and we get to understanding who we are. So back to parent. So the mom and dad who are listed on the top have all of a sudden been flipped into an agreement, because the agreement within that box is that she's attesting to the validity of the entire instrument, that she is a parent, which means judicially decreed guardian. She doesn't understand the definition of parent. In law, Black's law, judicially decreed guardian, and she is saying and attesting to being the informant, one who turns one over. So she's attesting to the instrument, agreeing to be the guardian, turning the product of the union over to the state. They take a live born record, and if you don't believe this, I don't care, because I'm going to explain it to you this way. If I walk up to you and I say, give me that $100 bill, and you give me that $100 bill, and I hand you a written document, certificate of a $100 bill, and I put it on beautiful bonded 32 mark, American banknote, Pacific banknote paper. This is a certificate of of fiat currency equal to $100, and I sign it as the representative party, and I hand you back that certificate. And you look at it and go, man, that's so pretty. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. Is it going to feel like you got ripped off a little bit? Yeah. Why? Because you handed me cash and I handed you a pretty piece of paper. Well, isn't that what cash is? Yeah. But cash is a widely accepted practice, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same principle with your money at a bank. You're taking your cash, you're handing it to the bank. Bank isn't giving you cash. They're giving you a credit on account. Does that feel like cash? No. Well, yeah, it does. But it's not cash in your pocket. It doesn't feel like it. But you've accepted it. Why? Because that bank out of nowhere has authority and autonomy and the ability to give you a card that you can go and pull digits off your account and use them to purchase stuff. So it feels like cash, but it's not. You take your manufacturer statement of origin, your car, your truck. You hand it over to the state unknowingly. You didn't. Most people don't even know about the MSO anymore. It was a widely accepted practice to have your MSO 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Today, it's not a widely accepted practice. The widely accepted practice is to get a certificate of title from the state. So you take your MSO, the true title, from the manufacturer. That's the key word, manufacturer. Let me say it this way, creator. And you then hand it over to the state. And the state does the same thing I did to you with that $100 bill. Gets a really pretty instrument, 32-pound watermark banknote paper, and says, ooh, look, we're going to beautify this and we're going to hand it back and make you think because of who we are and what you are now widely accepting as the people as being the actual title, but it's not. And then guess what? Because you've registered it, we now own it. You don't own it anymore. A certificate of title does not make you the owner. The state is the owner. Period. People say, no, I hold a certificate of title. I get all of that when I sell the car. Sure. What happens if you don't pay the registration? You don't own squat. You own nothing. If you're paying registration every year to drive that motor vehicle, because that's what happens to a car or a truck when you register it, you're depositing your asset, the MSO, into the state. The state's then issuing you permission and a license plate and tags that you have to pay every year, and then telling you what to do and how to do it, and then making you get a driver's license and making you travel in a form and fashion that maybe some people don't like. I don't have such a problem with, not driving drunk or making sure I'm not speeding. I don't have a problem. So that's dangerous. But do I need a license and permission to travel in a registered automobile? Maybe. Do I need permission from the state to travel in a car, truck, or motorcycle where I hold the MSO? No. Now I know a whole bunch of people going, Kelby, oh my gosh, you're so far right. It's crazy. Are you kidding me, Kelby? Not having a license? Stop it, ignorance. Just stop it. That is such ignorance. We have forgotten who we are as the people. Period. We've handed over every element of our lives, including the title to our homes. Let me explain. Hello, real estate broker. Okay. Thousands of loan transactions. I understand it. Created a 9-hour expert chain of title training video. I understand how chain of title works. Well, at some point in the history of this nation, just like they did with the MSO, they requalified how we're going to do transactions. And they requalified how you're going to vest yourself on title. Well, requalifying what? Kelby, how did they requalify? Well, they made you a resident because it's a residential loan agreement. It's a residential purchase agreement. So you're getting a loan as a resident. You're purchasing a home as a resident. It's a residential contract to purchase. What is a resident? A resident is a subclass citizen according to subsection 213 of the Law of Nations and many, many, many other statutes, codes, and ordinances. So they changed, again, just like they did with the cars, and just like they did with children, and just like they are doing with your money, and just like they're doing with every element of your life, making you register. The term register, just by an equivalent of exchange, is proof that you're giving your asset to the state for some type of benefit, right, or privilege. And this is a really tough game, and I get it, for people to be challenged with and believe. But I'm not here to tell you I can prove all this in the law. And I'm telling you right now, when you give your MSO to the state, you've lost your title. When you give your child's life equivalent, the live born record, to the state, you've lost that title. Doesn't mean you've lost the kid. Doesn't mean you've lost the truck. But it sure seems like if they want to come and take possession of your kid or your truck, they're exerting themselves like they can, and they have the right over all of that. So again, the mom, attesting to the validity of the instrument as a mom, unqualified in law, agreeing to be a judicially decreed guardian, all right there within one line of the contract, informant, turning the product of the union over to the state. Don't believe that? Did you know that in Black's Law, you can look this up for yourself, marriage under the state says this: the product of the union belongs to the state. It also says the state has total rights over anything that union has created. Well, what did the union create? Well, first, what is the union? It's a marriage certificate. All right. You created a joinder. Her name is now his name. His name is, and her name are synonymous now, and put on what? 32-pound watermark banknote paper. Why do they keep putting every asset of citizens of the greatest nation on earth on 32-pound watermark banknote paper? Think about it. Why does it matter if it's registered in the county recorder? Does it matter to you that it is? It may not. But here's the thing that you have to consider. When you get this through your mind, that you've handed your assets, and I'll finish explaining the home asset in a minute. When you hand your assets over to the state in return for something less than what it really was to begin with, you can create your own title on children. Why? You're the creator. Well, obviously God is the creator, but you brought him forward, and this is your child and your child's name, and from the parents of, and the offspring, and born on such and such, conceived on such and such day. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do to protect the title of your child. Why are we even talking about titles on people? Does it matter? Are there really titles on people? Absolutely. Do you have a life equivalent that is a title? It's called your BC birth certificate. What is the U.S. citizen? It's your birth certificate. Rundle versus Delaware said this thousands of times. Reiteration training. A corporation can't do business with a living man. So what did Congress do? Created the ability for corporations to be United States citizens. Why? How can a corporation, listen to me, if any of this was fraud, any of what I'm saying is ridiculous, how is it a corporation, and why is it a corporation can be a United States citizen? What are you truly then? You're a living man, living woman, who have fallen into a series of adhesion trusts where you've identified yourself on the trust as the trustee, and you've said, I want a job, I want an employment ID number, and I'm willing to agree to all these terms on all these different trusts. That's what's gone on. Back to the homes, back to land. It's extremely important for you to get this. Title, if you hold title, where your title is a grand deed, warranty deed, whatever, and you've got a legal description on it. Here's the land. This is the land. This is my mouse pad. This is your home. You own everything above the land. That's what a legal description is. 100%. 100%. If you own the land, it would be meets and bounds as a description. Meets and bounds is a survey of the land. So, secondly, how are you vested? Joint tenant, tenant in common. Did you realize? No. That you were agreeing to the financing of a loan to make the bank the owner where you were the permanent tenant? Now, how many people actually pay off their house? Very few, especially now. Very few. How many people actually get out of debt? Almost none, by design. And we're about to do some negative interest rates right now, and we're about to go cashless in the next 2 years. Called it. Kelby from HISadvocates, August 23rd, 2022. Calling it. 2 years. We'll be on the cusp right then of going cashless. They're going to be extremely hard in the remainder period of time that they have with the Biden administration. They only got 2 years left. They have to do it. They have to do it. Then you're going to see a breakout. You're going to see, and I don't want to get into all the theories and conjecture, but you're going to see the fight of the people of their lives. The goal for them is to chip everybody by 2026. That's what Schwab has said. Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum. That's what Yuval Harari has said. Yuval is kind of like the prophet to all these guys and these world leaders, to like Bill Gates and stuff. Very much, and here's the irony, Yuval, who is the leader in the spiritual movement, saying God does not exist, saying the new God will come out of where? Silicon Valley. What is that going to look like? Well, artificial intelligence. That's just a start. And that artificial intelligence is going to require you to be marked. The chip is already there and in place. We've talked about this before. The chip number is 060606, patentscope.com, Microsoft patent. And you will not be able to buy or sell because they're going to incorporate a credit-based system that will be working with that chip, working through what's known as the Internet of Things to make sure you are fully vaccinated, which means what? Another show when I'm not on YouTube and other venues. But the Internet of Things will be talking to other nanoparticulates in and around it, dealing with the main beast chip to determine if you have done your job for that day, to then get your back padded with some digital currency. This is what they are saying, not Kelby. This is what they want. This is not a rumor. These are things being spouted off in front of the world gateway to bring about a one world order. Do I think Donald Trump is on our team? Do I think we have a savior like a guy by the name of Donald Trump? Do I think Donald Trump can overcome all of the things that need to be overcome, like voting fraud, CIA, FBI, the military? I think God could do whatever God's going to do. But I do know this. that if I unallege myself from the United States, the whore, and I'm going to get into a whore conversation. Let's see if I can do it by next week. I can prove to you who the whore is from a biblical perspective. And I can lay it out so clean, so precise, and you can't say there's another whore. There's no other whore. Everybody in the world has been made out to have a life equivalent in chattel paper known as a birth certificate. And they're all registered under the Securities and Exchange Commission. Why? Because it was a system designed to bring the people into the public life equivalent and make them all under the jurisdiction of a corporation known as the United States. No joke. Make you all the debtor, make you all the surety, the collateral. And this is why God says, come out. Have nothing to do with it. And so as we are growing in our understanding of what these instruments are that we are signing, that we are putting forward, just know this. You can take control of the BC. You can remove it from the Securities and Exchange Commission. There are things that can be done. The most important thing is you can actually step outside of being an office holder of that artificial person. That's the most important thing. And that's what we are experts at HISadvocates. You do not want to hold any office to any artificial person, which means nothing more. And here's a simplified term of being an employee of a company known as the United States. That's all it is. This isn't rocket science. This is a corporation saying, we've got you. You've got to obey us. And now they're making police powers that are beyond anything for people that are having difficulty paying taxes. Let me ask you a question. If you guys voted for Biden, which I know the majority of you didn't, but if you guys voted for Biden, how are you feeling right now? Seriously. Are you of good faith that he is doing a fantastic job? Or do you think he's a puppet for a greater thing going on? Like, how can we go as a nation thinking somebody is a mean tweeter, a racist, a criminal, who's had so many things brought against him that have all been proven to be false, to kicking him out of a lawful election? How can we as people in this nation think that we have any ability to control the narrative? We don't. This is the only thing that we can control, and don't ever forget this. The republic, everybody is talking about restoring a republic. The republic is you. There are two things in this world. Well, there's more, but creditors and debtors. This is why God says don't be a debtor. So if you don't think having a social or being a United States citizen is violating a law with God or the general principles of the Bible from God, you're joking with yourself. If you don't think taking on the debt of a nation that you had nothing to do with, that is being done in fraud, making $2 trillion a year annually disappear, and going to help 1 million plus people a year disappear in this nation alone, 1 million people. Do you know? And I always say that, I want to say this every episode. This is on the FBI website. How many people does it take to facilitate that kind of operation? And you don't think you're going to be judged as a U.S. citizen participating in that, funding it, employee of a company? Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Revelations 18:4, 100%. You will. This is why in Republic, because I get asked this question all the time, how do we re-inhabit the Republic? It's already done. It's never gone. You don't understand what Republic is. Republic is you. Means you can make a claim to be a part of the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America. 50 several states of the Union not the United States, the sovereign in the District of Columbia. See, that sovereign corporation can only exist by our authority. And when we, as a people, are in republic, they, by law, have to obey because the people are the creditors. But if some form or fashion you've become the debtor, that's why you're having issues with police powers. That's why the Amish are having issues, because they don't understand contract law. And this is why I'm on the mountaintop every chance I get, screaming it out. You're giving up your sovereignty to be a child of the Most High God, a state of the Union citizen, to have a driver's license the way that you do. You're giving up your sovereignty as a state of the Union citizen, because that's what everybody is in this nation. But they're all contracted to receive a lesser class citizenship. Again, Law of Nations, subsection 213. So that you can pledge yourself to saying, yeah, this BC is me. And go in and give 2 proofs of residence. What is a proof of residence? It's proof that you were working within federal territory. Zip code, zip code, zip code. This is why they do all the things that they do, so they can prove subject matter jurisdiction and warrants and indictments and have authority and autonomy over your life. Call us at HISadvocates. Do me a favor. If you want to get noticed on these shows, text this number right here below, 855-452-0499. Send the word freedom. Super important. We send out notifications to everybody about our shows and what we're doing and how we're doing it and any promotions that we're having. We help people become state citizens, bottom line. That's not a sovereign citizen. I don't want anything to do with anything that is unlawful. I will work with federal law enforcement officers. I will work with IRS agents. I will work with anybody that wants freedom, because everything that we do in the law is supported by the law. And we do have all those people, by the way, and more. And it's very important for the people to understand that this is nothing more than us re-inhabiting our own personal republics and becoming the creditor once again. It's the greatest opportunity that we have. We'd also ask that you join us in our VIP membership at hisadvocates.org. It helps support us as a ministry at $49 a month and gives you access to a ton of material, VIP shows, town hall shows, and the like. We love you guys, man. This is a fledgling of a ministry, but we're gaining traction. Got a lot of people in support of it. We have an opportunity to do what it takes to support you guys, to next level you guys. And I want more than ever to free this nation one person at a time. But please understand, you yourself are the republic. And when you go into republic, you are the creditor and not the debtor, and you are free under God. Remember this, and don't ever forget this. The woman that walked up to Ben Franklin, what kind of government did you give us? A republic, ma'am, if you yourself can keep it. And they knew what they were doing. God bless you guys. Good night. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.